No? We can start. Okay. So, Reye means to see. Thank you, Raquel. It's Deuteronomy 11:26 to 16:17. Okay. It's a continuation from last portion. There is 54 commandments in here. However, there's a lot that we don't quite use today because of different things. Like some are only applicable in the temple. So one year, whenever we do it, the portion with the motif of the temple, we will go over those. There's a couple that only apply if you're in Israel under a theocracy with the Sanhedrin. So we don't have those. Okay, so there's a couple that we're not going to cover. However, there are a lot that we can still use today, and I will cover those. However, there are also a lot of commandments, not a lot, but there are a few where I'm still doing research on. So I don't want to inform you, or I don't want to misinform you. Okay, so I won't be speaking on those. I'll only be speaking on the ones I know for certain. Okay, is that fair? All right, cool. Let's do the blessing. Blessed Adonai, who is blessed. Blessed is Adonai, who is blessed now and forever. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who has chosen us from among the peoples and have given us the Torah. Blessed are you, Adonai, who gives the Torah. So this I added, what time is it? So maybe about 4 hours ago. I've been telling my students at school that Genesis 1 is establishing God's cosmic temple. You have all the functionaries in the temple, you have all the luminaries in the sky, and then finally you have the image of the deity, which was Adam, which was man. And I thought it was really interesting because in doing my studies through the commandments and stuff, there were a lot of prohibitions on the Sabbath regarding the building the tabernacle. Okay, and I think it's no coincidence. This is just not part of this. It's just interesting. I found interesting that on the seventh day God rested from building the temple, and on the seventh day we were told to rest from building the tabernacle. And so a lot of the prohibitions are regarding building the tabernacle. Just thought that was pretty interesting. Okay. So 54 commandments. These are the ones that we will not be covering today because I listed the reasons why regarding the temple in Israel and regarding the Kohanim, in Sanhedrin, all this stuff. Year of Jubilee, which we lost track of, so we can't declare it anyways. So there's a lot that I won't be covering due to those. And I would like to cover them in light of the temple motif in a future year, maybe next year, hopefully, right? Because maybe by then we could get into a rhythm and we could specialize in a couple motifs and do the portions that way instead of being sporadic, which was my hope, but we'll see. All right, and then these are the ones that I'm still doing research on. Those are the verses. Okay, so please forgive me. I just don't want to misinform you. Okay, this is the resource I'm using. If you do want to look at those and the other ones, please, I highly recommend getting this book. This is a Tariag Mitzvot. Okay, it has all 613 and a lot of the rabbinical commentaries on it too, and why they do certain traditions and such. It's actually a really good book. So, moving on, we're going to start with Deuteronomy 12, verses 13 to 14. Anyone care to read for me? Go ahead.
Take care that you do not offer your burnt offerings at any place that you see, but at the place that the Lord will choose among your tribes. There you shall offer your burnt offerings, and there you shall do all that I am commanding.
Can someone tell me what that place is referring to? It's a temple. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to also do the sticky notes from last week. Okay, the sticky notes are pretty much the note points. If you want to write those down, that's like the bare minimum you need. Okay. All right. So this one, the essence is to not offer holy sacrifices outside the temple. Now, and their circumstance is kind of different because there's no temple yet. Okay. So they can't exactly do it at the temple, on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. However, this is still given for a future time, okay? So we're also going to talk about why God is so adamant about establishing the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. We'll talk about that, okay? And it has to do with his name. Okay, so not to offer holy sacrifices outside the temple. Up next, anybody else care to read? Go ahead.
I have a question.
Sure.
How many commandments are there?
54. 54 commandments. Okay. For the trivia? Yeah. All right, who wants to read? I know you do. Go ahead.
Okay. Only be sure that you do not eat the blood, for the blood is the life, and you shall not eat the life of the flesh.
So a lot of kosher animals, the way that they're slaughtered is getting rid of all the blood. Okay, and there's a further, I think later we have a commandment about not eating an animal that has died from natural causes. Can someone tell me as to why that might be? Yeah, exactly. It still has blood, right? So we can't eat that. Okay, so not to eat any meat from a living animal. Okay, with blood. That's what that means. Okay, if it has blood, it's still considered living. So don't eat it. All right. So that one is regarding not eating any meat from a living animal. So it has to be slaughtered a certain way so there's no blood. It can be medium well. Yes, it can, because it's not blood. Okay, it's different. You can eat it rare if you want. That's cool with me. I mean, that's a little too much. Just don't get it well done. As long as it's not well done, we're fine. All right. Anyone care to read? Go ahead, Isa.
Everything that I command you shall be perfect to you. You shall not add to it or to it.
What's it? Anybody know? Go ahead. There's a word. Go ahead.
No, you shouldn't hear me. Oh, the commandment.
Commandments. Go ahead. The Torah. Okay, the Torah as a whole. Because keep in mind, Deuteronomy is structured as a covenant. Okay, and it's situated in the whole covenant, the book of the covenant. Okay, so the whole structure is a covenant. So we are not to add or take away from it. We can't make up our own commandments and say it's the same thing as God's word. Okay, we just can't do that. Okay, there's God's word and there's only God's word. Okay, so do not add to it and do not take away from it. Why would that be the case? This is more of a review. If I add, say, Andrew, you give me a contract, okay, and I sign it, and I say, okay, cool. All right, you're my suzerain, I'm your vassal. And then I say, well, actually, I'm going to add some rules and I'm going to take away some of your rules. Is that cool? No, because by doing so, I affront to your authority, right? By doing that. So by adding or taking away from the Torah all the commandments, you, by doing so, are disrespecting God. Because that's God's word. Those are his rules as a suzerain, and us are the vassals. Okay, we can't take away or add from it. It's not our job. What's our job with the Torah? Yeah, just to do it, to follow it, to obey it, okay, to serve God. Okay? Okay. So not to add or take away from the Torah, and if you do, it's an affront to Hashem. Okay? It's disrespecting Hashem. Ready? Anyone care to read? Go ahead.
You shall not listen to the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams, for the Lord your God is testing you, to know whether you love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul.
I'll go more into depth with this one whenever I get to the context section. Okay, because this is actually really, really fascinating. I'll just talk about it now, because why not? Now let's consider it a preview. A prophet in the ancient Near East invoked gods. Okay, the way that they do that is divination, like reading your palms and I don't know, what else, wherever else, tea leaves, red bones, yeah, liver and stuff like that too, right? So they would invoke the deities on their behalf, okay, to manipulate them, for them to want to do something for the prophet. Do you see that with God's prophets? No, that's not what happens. God calls them. God invokes them. They don't invoke God. Okay, and they don't do any sort of divination. There's no need to. Okay, God's pretty loud and clear. All right, and I'll talk more about what a false prophet does, what they look like, what a false prophecy technically is. Okay, so don't worry about that yet. I'll address it. Okay, but this one, pretty much the premise is don't pay attention to anything anyone is saying if they prophesy in the name of an idol. Okay, that's what that's for. Okay. Don't pay attention to anyone prophesying in the name of an idol. Even if it comes true, the verse says even if it comes to pass, just if it's in the name of an idol, that's not. Just don't pay attention. There's another one that comes with. All right. All right, ready? We only have a couple more. Okay, who wants to go? Shai, you want to read? No? Go ahead, Raquel.
You shall not use him or listen to him, nor shall you have pity him,
Mm-hmm.
nor shall you spare him, nor shall you conceal him.
So the hymn is referring to the prophet, okay, prophesying in the name of an idol. Okay, so don't have any affection on someone who entices others to idol worship. Okay, that it pairs along with like if a fellow Israelite also says, "Hey, let's go follow these gods." It's a big no-no. Okay, just don't do that. Okay, so not to have any affection on someone who entices others to idol worship. And that could be a couple different ways. Showing hospitality, could be giving him money, could be other forms of affection. Not just like, oh, give me a hug. No, that's not what it's referring to. It's mostly referring to like actually taking care of them and stuff. Go ahead.
So there are people that like other people, because somebody's like tribal worshiper, I guess.
Mm-hmm. What was that?
Like if somebody's like a Buddhist,
A Buddhist?
talking about it.
I don't know. I mean, if they say, hey, tomorrow the sun's going to rise, and it does, and they say, oh, that's because of Baal or because of Buddha, I don't know. And I'm like, you sure? No. I don't know. I don't know too much about Buddhism. I haven't studied much on it. So,
I would just put it as
as
an example.
an example, no, it's more. All right, so anyone who has do not have affection on someone who entices others to idol worship. Okay, I'll read this one. And all Israel shall hear in fear and never again do any such wickedness as this among you. Okay, so it's forbidden to lure someone to idol worship. Again, like an Israelite or anybody luring somebody to idol worship. It's a big old no-no. That's treason, actually. That's actually committing treason. It's like, Andrew, you and I, we come into a covenant, okay? And then I make a covenant, and then say Tony's in a covenant with you. We're all in covenant together, okay? You're the suzerain. But say I trick Tony into serving, I don't know, a water bottle. Okay, a water bottle. Okay, is that treason? Did I just commit treason against you? Because I just caused someone else to break your covenant, right? And my own. That's treason. Okay. All right, ready? You are the sons of the Lord your God. You shall not cut yourselves or make any baldness on the foreheads for the dead. Now, we've talked about this one before. Okay. Cutting your skin. Okay, this also includes with tattoos and such. Okay. And cutting on the forehead and the sides and the sideburns and the forehead. It's actually still practiced sometimes in the Middle East. All right, that's all regarding underworld deity stuff. Mourning, a lot of mourning, because in the Canaanite mythology, El lacerated himself and shaved his head due to the mourning of Baal, when Baal died. Okay, so a lot of that comes from all of that pagan mythology and stuff. So not to slash oneself, as idol worshippers do, and not to tear out hair in grief over a dead person. So again, all within the realm of mourning and death, it's not permitted. Okay, that's why also the priests had to have kind of like a full set of hair from side to side. Okay, couldn't be too long, couldn't be too short, due to this reason. Okay, and it's not because if you had a bald spot, you're not a worshiper. No, it's the perception of such as a temple. Okay, so I always use this example. I think I've used it here before. If I say I don't drink, okay, I say I'm sober, okay, and then say my friend's like, hey, let's go to a bar. Okay, cool. And I have a red Solo cup and I fill it up with water. From the outside looking in, what's it look like I'm doing?
That you're drinking.
And I'm drinking, even though I say I'm sober, right? Even though I'm very well sober, from the perception of the outsider, it looks like I'm participating in drinking. Likewise, if someone looks at the temple in Jerusalem and sees someone with, like, say, shaved head, right, and then lashes on their skin and their body, what's it look like? Looks like, yeah, it looks like that. Looks like an idol worshiper in the temple. That's why it's doing that. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. The energy is so low. Killing me. It's K minus 2. I get it. All right. Ready? Okay. You shall not eat any abomination. Now this book, this is interesting. This book here refers to it also regarding the sacrifices that were not permissible. Okay, so say like you know how it went, where the priest would slaughter, put the blood, cook it, okay, and then he would eat it. Now, the book regards that if say it was disqualified, you can't eat it. It makes sense because you would be eating from a disqualified sacrifice. That's not cool. Also, in context, this was in chapter 14. If you do have your Bibles, can we go to chapter 14 real quick? If you have them, let's go there. Because I want to read it. I want to show you the context because some folks don't like to read the context about food. So let's go to chapter 14. And if you look at the headings, mine says clean and unclean food. Does yours say that as well? No? Andrew, it does, right? So a lot of the commandments here, you could just read in context. They're very straightforward. This is another one of those. Okay, the cross-reference is going to be Leviticus 11, 1 through 47, where God goes through all the clean, unclean, permissible foods to eat, and what you cannot eat. Okay, so with that context, what does that mean? Anybody? Clean and unclean foods to eat. Okay? I went back. Sorry. So this is in the context of God listing the foods that you can and cannot eat. Okay, like I said earlier from this book, it's also applicable to the sacrifices that become disqualified. Okay, according to the Tariag Mitzvot, which makes perfect sense. Because it's like a reconciliation of a covenant every time you do the offering, and then if it's disqualified, it's kind of awkward, isn't it? Eating from a disqualified offering. Can any of you recall the criteria for a clean, I just spit, my bad, a clean livestock animal? And who is good? Yes, what about fish, sea animals? Scales and fins. Okay, and, not or. Okay, remember those. And, not or. Okay, not cloven hooves or chew the cud. No, they have to have both. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a sec. Ready? Okay. So you may eat all clean birds. Go ahead. Huh? Go ahead.
You may eat all.
Yes, good job. Hey, there are longer ones coming. Don't worry. So, yes, let's talk about real quick about clean and unclean birds, because I wanted to put the cross-reference. I didn't want to confuse everybody going back and forth, okay? So we'll just talk about it. So this is from Google, okay, because I'm lazy. Kosher birds include chickens, ducks, geese, doves, and quail, among others, okay? There's a long list, okay? Non-kosher birds include owls, pelicans, eagles, ostriches, vultures.
People eat ostriches.
They eat ostriches. Yeah, they eat the eggs. Those things are huge. Massive eggs. So, I want to ask you a question. Go ahead. Ducks? There was, we'll talk more about that later. After. Why?
Well, it's there. It says that they are kosher.
Okay, maybe I'll have to do more research on that. That's interesting. Okay, I'll have to look into that. All right, so I know that there was a lot of criteria that was lost regarding the birds. That could be why. But, So, real quick, this is a chicken. That's a quail. I think it's so cute. I didn't know quail looked like that. Yeah. We had quail eggs? Yeah, they're small, right?
They're really small.
That's a duck, in case you didn't know. That's a vulture. This is an owl. That's an eagle. Now, I want you to pay attention to something. Okay? What are the kosher, the clean animals doing? Walking. Okay.
On the ground.
Yes. What are the non-clean animals doing? They're praying, right? Yeah, they're praying. No. If you notice, what does a duck not have that an owl has? Talons, right? What does an owl use those for? Yeah. What does the duck use that for? To swim. Okay, so chickens and quails have like weird looking legs like that, right? So, but do they use that to eat? No, they use it for walking, okay, because they don't really fly that much. Chickens, when they fly, they're so funny. So funny. Okay, so pay attention to the talons versus the feet of the clean birds, okay? You'll see this picture again, okay? Well, we'll practice identifying clean and unclean, okay? All right. Anybody? Go ahead. Yeah.
And all winged insects are unclean for you. They shall not be eaten.
Yes. I think, are crickets clean?
Crickets and
Crickets.
locusts?
Yes, locusts are clean. And then crickets. That's about it. Hmm? Yep. All right. And again, this one's pretty straightforward. Okay, I don't have a sticky note for it. All right. So, why? You shall not eat anything that has let me try this again. You shall not eat anything that has died naturally. Why? You said blood? Yes. Because it was not slaughtered properly to where the blood was out. So, this happened, oh my gosh. Where I'm from, people hit deers all the time. And sometimes if you hit the deer on the side, it's no good because then it pops all the intestines and you get the picture. Okay, it spoils the meat. But sometimes if you hit it just right with the truck, okay, all of that won't happen. So people where I'm from, they'll go and they'll grab the deer, butcher it up. What's wrong with that?
You're not supposed to.
Well, it still has the blood, unless it was ritually, or not ritually, I won't say ritually, because that adds a connotation to it, but properly slaughtered, okay? So all the blood can be extruded. And it's in the most humane way possible. I don't know about you, but getting hit by a truck is not a humane way to die. Okay, so that does not qualify for kosher, all right? Naturally dead animals still have blood in them, okay? That's important to know. So next time you see a raccoon on the side of the road, just don't do it. There are people that do that, you know. Go ahead. But yeah, anything. It says, you shall not eat anything that has died naturally. Fish especially. Fish are really quick to get spoiled. Yeah, because they have a lot of parasites. Okay. Oh. Okay. This one's longer. I don't want to read it. Go ahead. Oh. You got it. Go ahead.
All firstborn males that are born of your herd and flock you shall dedicate to the Lord your God. You shall do no work with the firstborn of your herd, shear the firstborn of your flock.
Firstborn. All right. So, backwards. So it is forbidden to work with animals consecrated for offerings, okay? Because the firstborn would be set aside for offerings, and then set aside to be set aside, yeah. Or shear them. So don't shear their wool, their hair, whatever, and not to do work with them, okay? Yeah, he had enough, didn't he? The kid's so funny. I love that kid. He's great. So, forbidden to work with animals consecrated for offerings or shear them. Okay, which means cut their hair and wool off. Well, before they get, yeah. Okay, ready? Now ready. You shall eat no. Go ahead. I'm not going to stop you.
You shall eat no unleavened bread with it. 7 days you shall eat it with unleavened bread, the bread of affliction. For you came out of the land of Egypt in haste, and all the days of your life you may remember the day when you came out of the land of Egypt.
Perfect. I think I have okay, so this is where I pick a bone with some folks. Okay, not here, just in general. Okay. This is in context of Passover. All right, so I do want to talk about God's appointed times for a bit. Okay. Now I have a question for you. Are they Jewish feasts and festivals, or are they God's feasts and festivals? God's feasts. So a lot of folks, they are weary as to trying to do them because they're like, oh, that's for the Jewish people. I don't want to impede. Well, we're going to read that God says, in multiple translations, by the way, including the original Hebrew, it's God's appointed times. It's not the Jewish appointed times. I mean, they're just the people that like to do them. Okay? But it's for everybody in covenant with God. And we're going to talk about that. Okay? So it's forbidden to eat leaven on Passover. That's what that means. Which I think we all know from the past portions. Okay? So let's talk about this. These are two translations that I had purchased on, what's it called? Logos, okay? Because I'm not going to purchase something on Shabbat, okay? So, Leviticus 23, 1 through 2, and this is also Leviticus 23, 1 through 2. This is Lexington English Bible. That's the ESV. I like the ESV. I mean, listen, all translations kind of are bad, unless it's the original Hebrew or Greek, okay? So, I don't, what's the word? I don't condone this. I'm not saying that these are the perfect. I'm not. Okay, it's just the two I had on hand. Okay, the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the people of Israel, and say to them, these are the appointed feasts of who?
The Lord.
The Lord." It's not. It doesn't say the Jewish folks. Okay, and first of all, the people he's speaking to are all of Israel, not just the tribe of Judah. Okay, not just to a specific tribe. It's a whole. Okay, Israel as a whole. And say to them, these are the appointed feasts of the Lord that you shall proclaim as holy convocations. They are my appointed feasts. Are they Jewish appointed feasts? Oh. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the Israelites and say to them, the festivals of the Lord that you shall proclaim are holy assemblies. They are my appointed times." Okay, so let's establish this before we move further. Whose appointed feasts are these? God's. Okay, in Leviticus 23, it goes on. It says the Sabbaths. I have a whole slide for that. Let me just. Okay, so let's talk about the word appointed. Let's talk about that. Okay, and yes, I Googled it too. Just in case you didn't believe Logos, right? So you see in the Hebrew, this is a inline part of Logos. Okay, I want to talk about appointed though. Okay, because there's this notion that, I could do Sabbath on Tuesday, right? I know from Christianity, that's where my background is Christianity. And they say, as long as you do a Sabbath, that's all that matters. It's like, okay, I'm going to set a date with you bowling on Sunday. Or actually, let me not say that. Let's say Monday, okay? Let's say we're going to go on a date Monday, okay? That's where I say, this is our appointed time for our date, okay? And then I show up Wednesday. Oh, well, I showed up for a date. You didn't show up. What's up with that? Well, did I come when we agreed? No. All right. So this is from Logos, okay? A place for meeting, assembly point, meeting, assembly, agreed time, appointed time. Okay, so are these days kind of just like random? You can do whenever you want? Or are they set in stone in the covenant, okay? Inside of the covenant that you agreed to, all right? There already is. You don't have to set a schedule. It's already done for you. You don't have to worry about trying to figure the time out. He did it for you. Okay? So let's challenge this notion that you can have Sabbath on Tuesday. Okay, let's do that. So appointed. This is from Google. In case you didn't believe me and you wanted to Google it yourself, this is what you'll see. Okay, I did it for you. Of a time or place, which is what it's referring to. It's not referring to building a room. Okay, appointed. Decided on beforehand and designated. So is that something that you could just change? Now let's look at similar words in case you want to change a word. Scheduled. If it's scheduled, can you change it? No. Arranged. If it's arranged, can you change it? No. Only if you make it, but you didn't make it. Okay, you agreed to it. Prearranged, specified, decided, agreed. Listen, y'all, these are times set in stone in the covenant that you agreed to. You can't change it. You just can't. Okay. So, before we talk about this really quick, I forgot. So let's just talk about this. All right. So this is the word moed. Okay. I want to talk about that's the root word. Okay. That's ya'az. Ya'az. Okay. She's my Hebrew teacher. She's awesome. Okay. Shameless plug. Raquel. Okay. So ya'az. So let's talk about this word real quick. I don't have slides from it because it was a lot of information, but this is where whenever I figured this out a while ago, my whole approach to the Sabbath changed, completely changed. This root word can also mean betrothed, right, Raquel? Thank you. Okay, I always have to ask now. I'm so scared. Yes, it also means to betroth, be betrothed. So, every time we welcome Hashem on Shabbat, every time we proclaim, I'm going to go back to the verse. Every time we proclaim, okay, it's showing that we're betrothed to God, okay, which is a big deal, okay? So, this is included for Sabbath, Passover, first fruits, weeks, trumpets, Day of Atonement, and booths. Good luck changing the days. You can't. If God rested on the Sabbath, what should we do? Yeah, not the second, right? Not the third, not the fourth, not the fifth, not the first. No, when? The Sabbath, okay? And when is the Sabbath? According to our calendar, which is flawed, like you would not believe, but according to our calendar that we follow here in the United States, Friday night to Saturday night. Okay? Is that fair? Okay. Did I challenge that argument well? I like to think so. Okay. But in any event, okay, you can't challenge these days. Go ahead. Booths, the Feast of Booths. What's another word? Was it Sukkot? Sukkot. I always get Shavuot and Sukkot switched up. It's Sukkot. The thing that we did out here. The fun one where we did tents and sweat in 93-degree weather. What's up?
They were places
Mhm.
that's later.
Mm-hmm. You can. Yeah, you definitely can.
A lot of the language is used like betrothal and marriage and
Mhm.
stuff. Everybody's like from then
Mhm.
until now, everybody understands.
Yeah.
What
And
marriage is supposed to be.
yeah, and God always used the marriage metaphor when speaking about Israel anyways. Okay. So, can we change these? The times. Okay, if God says to do it on the 14th of Nisan, what are we supposed to do? Can we do it the, 12th? No, it's set aside. Okay, it's already appointed. So, if the Sabbath is one of God's appointed times, can we do whatever we want?
No.
No. Can we do it whenever we want? No. Okay, so that's when I'm still studying a lot of the prohibitions on Shabbat and stuff like that. Because, hey, we're all learning. Okay, I will tell you if I don't know. And I don't know a lot about that stuff. Okay, so I'm learning as a process. And so I won't tell you unless I'm 100% certain. Which, in the future, I would like to have a whole chat about that. Okay, so if Sabbath is one of God's appointed times, we can't just do whatever we want. Okay, we're not supposed to treat it like another day. We're not supposed to go to the gym. We're not supposed to go to the store. We're not supposed to do that stuff. Okay, it's God's appointed time. We're welcoming Him into our lives, into our homes. Okay, we're showing the world that we're betrothed. Okay, and it's a special day. Okay, so please treat it as such. All right? So, we're going to continue. Okay, I had a bone to pick. Now we can continue with the commandments. Anybody wants to read? Go ahead.
You shall rejoice in your feet, and you and your son and your daughter, and no servant in your equals. The Levite and sojourner, and the slave, and the fatherless,
Mm-hmm.
and the widow, who are within your zone.
Good, thank you. So right here, we are supposed to rejoice on Passover, Shavuot, and Sukkot, the pilgrimage feasts. Okay? Now, listen, on Sukkot, I get it. It's especially in Florida, okay? Where we have the sukkah out, we camp in 105-degree weather all day. We're supposed to rejoice though, but I understand, okay? I get it. But I remember the first year we did it, and I was in a bad mood. I was sweating, I got mosquito bites all over me. I'm like, what in the world are we doing out here? And then that's when that was like 2 years ago? So when we just first started. So I didn't know a lot, as you could tell. And then my wife is like, hey, you're supposed to rejoice. I was like, seriously? Like, really? It's hard, I get it, okay? But you are supposed to. And the more you study about what these mean and the role they play with Messiah and all that, you will rejoice. You'll understand a lot more, okay? So it's a process, okay? So we're supposed to rejoice on Passover, Shavuot, or Sukkot. So let's talk more about these clean and unclean animals, because a lot of people like to fight over this, and it's laid out pretty clear. Okay, I'll read it. Don't worry. Okay. So I did yellow. The yellow is supposed to be red, but well, I couldn't see it, so it's yellow. Okay, because I can't really see anything if it's red on black. Just forget it. Okay. So I'll read it. You shall not eat any abomination. This is from Deuteronomy 14. Okay, these are the animals that you may eat: the ox, the sheep, the goat, the deer, the gazelle, the roebuck, and the wild goat. The ibex, that's not a period, that's a comma. The ibex, the antelope, and the mountain sheep. All right, any animal that, say it again, parts the hoof.
God has a cloven hoof.
Yep. Yes, good. Among the animals you may eat. It says and, right? And choose the cud, right? Hoof and clove and choose the cud, not or. Okay? If it said or, then that would be justification to eat pork. But it's and. So does that mean we can eat pork? No sirski. Okay? Yeah, of those that chew the cud, or, see, he specified. Okay? It's like it was made for this argument. Yet, those that chew the cud or have the hoof cloven, you shall not eat these: the camel, the hare, the rock badger, because they chew the cud but do not have the parted hoof. They are unclean. So they have to have both, okay, to be permissible to eat. And the pig, because it parts the hoof but does not chew the cud. It is unclean. Okay, listen, y'all. It is so funny. Now I look back, it's funny, okay, because I would go to church and on Sunday, and then I would go to Sonny's. And I would bless the food that's God gave me, right? We established this last week. There's no amount of prayer that you can do that can make a pig clean. Okay, none. Okay, and God, this is like the second or third time God calls out pork. He calls it out. Okay, he's not like, well, kind of. It's not like it's in the list over here. No, he calls it out singularly. All right, don't eat pork. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. I can't sugarcoat it. Okay. All right. Their flesh you shall not eat. Their carcasses you shall not touch. Of all that are in the waters you may eat these. Whatever has fins and scales you may eat, and whatever does not have fins and scales you shall not eat. It is unclean for you. Yo, that's shrimp, that's crab, that's lobster, that's catfish. Okay, that's like, listen, y'all, all of Southern cuisine, just stay away. Okay, pretty much. That's what you got to do. All right. Now I'm kidding. Okay, there's obviously brisket, that's good. That's chicken, that's good. Turkey, that's good. Okay, but for the most part, we eat a lot of that down here. Okay, so stay away from that. All right, you may eat all the clean birds, but these are the ones that you shall not eat: the eagle, the bearded vulture, the black vulture, the kite. I didn't know that was a bird. The falcon of any kind, every raven of any kind, the ostrich, the nighthawk, the seagull, the hawk of any kind, the little owl and the short-eared owl, the barn owl, the tawny owl, the carrion vulture, listen, y'all, you get it, okay? And the bat. Oh my gosh, the bat. Don't eat the bat. Oh my gosh. COVID? Hello. I mean, huh?
Next to the bat.
Hoopoe? That's a great question for Google. I have no idea. So what do all these birds have in common, though? How do they catch their prey? Yeah, usually with the talons. Okay. All right. And by the way, vultures. A lot of these birds are going to be not all of them, but a lot of them are going to be kind of like pigs. What do they call where they eat whatever? Scavengers. Thank you, scavengers. I have to use science. I should know that. Okay, yeah, they are scavengers. Okay, and you are what you eat, right? So if I eat vegetables, I'm healthier. Okay, if I eat good food, I'm healthier. If I eat something that's dead on the ground, I become like that, right?
Sick.
Yeah, that's gross. Sick. Yeah, I die, most likely. Okay, so you see that God's trying to set apart these animals because they're just actually really nasty. I don't know if you've seen a vulture, but I wouldn't want to eat it. Nothing in me says, wow, that looks so good to eat. Rabbit's not kosher. Oh, by the way, let me tell you a story that I heard in college. We were studying food sources, okay? And there were a couple folks stranded. I think it was up north somewhere. I forget where. They were stranded. And the only animal they had to eat was that. I think it's cool looking. It's cool looking. But they were stranded, and the only animal they had to eat was rabbit. They all ended up dying. You know why? No, because rabbits are so lean. Is that what it sounds like? That doesn't sound friendly.
It's the pronunciation, so I clicked it, and all I hear is.
That's pretty vicious. That's pretty vicious. So rabbits are actually so lean, they have like no fat. And there's obviously no carbs. There's no fuel source. There's only protein. So if you had only rabbits around you and you started eating rabbits, well, one, good luck, okay, because it's not kosher. But second of all, you wouldn't survive if that was your only source of fuel because they're so lean. Okay, all clean winged animals you may eat. It doesn't go into detail here, but it does in Leviticus. Okay, what's up?
I've seen a few videos that bears.
Bears? Okay, here's another thing. If you'll notice, a lot of animals that God says not to eat are so dangerous. Think about shark, right? Shark, alligators, go ahead. Crocodiles, yep. All of those are obviously not kosher. Okay, snakes. So imagine you're trying to hunt and you're like, oh, I don't want cows. I want an alligator. Good luck with that. And the spot to kill it, you have to shoot it. It's like a quarter. That's how large the spot is. That it's very small. Okay, so good luck trying to kill a gator. Okay. Anyways. So I think it's to protect them as well. Practically speaking, clean animals are easier. Okay. So, is this clean? Can you eat it?
No.
Is it kosher?
No.
No. Good, y'all are so smart. I love it. Okay, what about cows? Yes, are they kosher? Biblically kosher. Okay, are they clean? Can you eat them? Yes. Rabbits? No. Okay, I know they're cute. But no. Okay. Right? Hey, listen, y'all. Cows are cute. I think cows are cute. Okay. Well, they taste so good. What about bass? Yes. Now, if you're an angler, I apologize. Okay? Because this is fisherman. Because this is considered a game fish, and people get really upset when you eat them.
You were talking about, I apologize if you're an angler fish. I'm like, what?
I don't think there's a kosher. No. But bass, they're like a game fish. Okay, that's what's caught as like game. Okay, like a prize. Okay, and they always put it back. Okay, it's not seen as something you would eat in our culture, at least. So yes, you can eat them. Why? And scales. Good. Now let's do this. Okay, what about the chicken?
Yes.
Quail.
Yes.
It's so cute. Ducks.
Yes.
Vulture.
No.
Owl.
No.
Eagle.
No.
Very good. Very good, guys. Very good. All right, let's talk about the context now. What time is it? It's early. It's 6:25. Darn. I tried to go as slow as I could. I really did. But you have questions? Okay. All right, let's talk about context, okay? Can anyone read this for me? Go ahead. Thank you. Can I see the questions?
Okay. See, I am setting before you today a blessing and a curse. The blessing if you obey the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you today, and the curse if you do not obey the commandments of the Lord your God, but turn aside from the way that I am
I'll talk
commanding
about
you
this one,
today,
not that one.
to go after other gods that you have not known. And when the Lord
The way
your
it's
God
prepared, I'll
brings
talk about
you
that,
into
just
the
not that one.
land that you are entering and to take possession of it, you shall set the blessing on Mount Gerizim,
Yep, Gerizim.
and the curse on Mount Ebal.
Okay, so thank you. Good. So this actually doesn't happen until Joshua 8. Okay, after Achan, if you remember from last week, what did Achan do?
idols.
Yes, yeah, he took from the devoted things, and then everyone was about to be yeah. Okay, and then they found him, they killed him, okay, and then they finally won the battle. All right, but after that, then he does the blessings and the curse. So this doesn't happen yet until Joshua 8. He's dead. It's on. Sorry. All right, so let's talk about these two mountains. Okay, oh, yes, also this. So my wife actually brought this to my attention. I thought it was really interesting, okay, because in... All right, I'll just be as blunt as possible because I don't know how to beat around the bush. Okay, in Christianity and other systems of religion, okay, you go to church and a lot of this isn't general for every system of religion or any Christian church. That's not what I'm saying. Okay, it's just my experience. Your experience, everyone's experience of Christianity was different. This was mine. I would go to church and everyone's like, "Oh, blessings on blessings on blessings," right? Like what Kanye song? Is that a Kanye song? I feel like it was. Okay. So, you see, it was all about blessings. It was all about blessings and none about the covenant. None. But I want you to notice something. Over here, why did I get in your way? Over here, it says, and the curse, if you do not obey the commandments of the Lord your God, but turn aside from the way. So you would have to agree to the covenant to turn aside, right? You can't just turn aside to something you never agreed to. Okay? And by default, what would the blessings also be? If you stayed loyal, right? So, using that logic, if you don't agree to the covenant and stick to the covenant that you agreed to, are there blessings for you? I would argue not, using that logic. Okay? Are there curses if you turn aside? Yes. If you agree to the covenant. Listen, God's righteous. Okay, He's not just going to bring rain on curses on you just because. Okay, if you turn away from the covenant that you agreed to, that God gave you, and you agreed to, then there are curses. But if you stay, what are there? I don't know where I went. Over there. Blessings. Okay, and it's all regarding the covenant, abiding by the covenant. Okay, moving on. So, curse is turning aside, and blessing is staying loyal. Okay. I also want to talk about Mount Gerizim and Ebal. It's so cool. It is so cool. Have y'all ever been on Google Earth? Yeah, Google Earth. It's like Google Maps on steroids. You can actually see everything, the texture, the cities, and everything. It's so cool. Yeah. I forgot all about it until this portion. And I was like, I really want them to visualize these mountains. I was like, oh yeah, Google Earth. I haven't used it since elementary school. But yeah, it's really cool. All right, ready? All right. So let's talk about these two, Mount Gerizim and Mount Ebal. So recall, before I show you the picture, one received blessings, the other curses. Okay? So this city, I'm going to get in your way for just a second. I have to I have a mouse. Let me see if you can see the mouse. Can you see my mouse?
Yes.
Okay, so you see there's two mountains. You see the arrows? Yeah. Nablus in the middle is actually the biblical city Shechem. Okay, so Shechem sat in between these two. But can you tell me what the difference is between those?
One has green grass.
One is alive, one is dead.
That is so cool. One got curses, one got blessings. One is fertile, one is not. And keep in mind, this is, at this time, in the land of Canaan, not Canaan like boom, but Canaan, okay? And in here, if my information is correct, in this city, there was a temple to Baal, and it was regarding him as Lord of the Covenant. So you see, is he though? No, not Baal, because you see the two sides, one has curses, one has blessings. Who's really Lord of the Covenant? Hashem. And you see one is fertile, right? All of, not all, but most of all of them, all of Canaan's pantheon of gods are regarding fertility. And you see the one that had blessings, it's fertile, right? That is so cool. Anyways, I'm sorry for geeking out. I just thought that was fascinating. To actually visualize today, actually that was probably 10 years ago, I'll be honest. I actually don't know when they took that picture. But you can still see that's real life. They didn't make that up. Okay? Yeah, it's fascinating. All right, anyways. So I want to talk about some of these, okay? This is actually not regarding food. And I'll tell you why in a second, okay? However, you may slaughter and eat meat within any of your towns as much as you desire. By the way, kosher is more about the way that the animal is prepared, okay? Making sure it did not come into contact with any unclean things. That's what kosher means. So whenever you go, like water, does this have kosher on it? Yeah, this is kosher. Okay, there's a little symbol. There's a couple different ones.
There's so many
Okay.
symbols, actually.
But this is kosher. So does this have pork in it? No. Would this have owl in it? Would this have any unclean animal in it? Would it have contact with any of this? No. Because someone paid someone to say no. Okay? That's what really kosher means. So whenever you go and buy kosher meat, it was slaughtered a certain way. It was not dedicated to any idols. Okay, that's what that means. Okay, it was observed by a rabbi as well. Okay,
You know that the water in New York sometimes is not considered kosher.
I bet.
It's because
Shoot.
a lot
Or
of
Mexico.
water comes from trust with like shellfish, like shrimp and all of that.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's scary. Instagram, huh? The TikTok. All right. However, you may slaughter and eat meat within any of your towns as much as you desire, according to the blessing of the Lord your God that He has given you. The clean and the unclean may eat of it. Now, listen. I had somebody literally bring one of this because this happens it's repeated. He says, "See, the clean and unclean may eat of it." Okay, continue. The as of the gazelle and as of the deer. So I'll say the sentence together so you can see it. The clean and unclean may eat of it as the gazelle and of the deer. Is it really talking about you can eat clean and unclean foods? No, because both of these animals are clean, y'all. Like, I kept reading, I'm like, oh, dude, literally both of those are clean. So if he says clean and unclean animals, wouldn't you think he would say vulture or pig? No, he says literally two clean animals. So it's regarding people, the state of ritually clean and ritually unclean. That's what he's referring to. All right? Because I just want to kind of nip that in the bud. Because I'm sure some people reading the portion would be like, oh, see, we can eat clean and unclean. But that's not the case. Okay? Only you shall not eat the blood. You shall pour it out on the earth like water. Okay? So clean, unclean. And 12:15 is regarding people, not food. All right? In 12:15, Deuteronomy 12:15 is regarding people, okay, not food. Please don't make that mistake, okay? Hey, I'll be honest. Actually, when I read it, I was like, wait a second. That doesn't make sense. And I had to, look at it again. I'm like, oh, okay. Now I remember. Okay. All right. So, if you read the portion, and last portion too, God is, obsessed with putting His name in this land. Obsessed with it. And He's really adamant at getting rid of all the other names. Okay. Hey, let's stand up real quick. This wall is too comfy for everybody. Stand up. Shake, jumping jacks. Say hi to your neighbor real quick. Say hi to your neighbor. Good. Oh, I forgot to add discussion parts. That's what I forgot. I was like, something's missing. My bad, y'all. Y'all could talk amongst your neighbors real quick and discuss what y'all have learned so far. It was a lot, sorry. No way. Cholo. I know. This man last week is snoring. It's funny. Alrighty, thank you, y'all. Sorry, that was my fault. I forgot to put the discussion parts in there. My fault. Alright, so let's talk about the importance of God putting His name on the land. That hurt my hand. Let's talk about why it's so important for God to put His name on the land. Okay? So, right now, in this, not right now, currently, well, actually, right now, currently, yes. But in this time that it was written, there were a lot of kings with their names established on certain parts of the land. Okay? Now that's a problem for God. Because if it's God's land, whose name would be there? Exactly. Okay? So this is all a big old, what should we call it? Sizing up. Yeah, he's like, this ain't your land, yo. All right, get out of here. Or it's my land. Okay? All right, so let's talk about that. Ooh, that's a lot. Kaylin?
All of it?
If you want.
Okay.
You can say no. I'll just put you on the spot.
These are the these are the statutes and rules that you shall be careful to do in the land that the Lord, the God of your fathers, has given you to possess. All the days that you live on the earth, you shall surely destroy all the places where the nations whom you shall possess serve their gods.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I can't read it. On the high mountains and on the hills and under every green tree, you shall tear down their altars and dash in pieces their pillars and burn their asherim to the fire. You shall chop down the carved images of their gods and destroy their names out of that place. Right?
We'll stop there actually for now. Okay, thank you so much. Now, that's talking about last week. We've talked about this, okay? Asherah, fertility goddess, okay? And carved images would be idols, because remember, idols were made out of metal and wood. Okay, what were they adorned with? Gold and silver. Good. Altars are places where the God's name would be. Okay, that's why it's so important. When Noah came out of the ark, what did he build?
That's the altar.
An altar. Oh, you were quick for that one. Thank you. Yes, he built an altar. That establishes God's name on earth. Okay. Now, if there was an altar of, I don't know, Baal right next to it, would that be challenging God's name?
Yes.
Yes. So that's why it's so adamant that they get rid of all the altars, because those represent the other deities' names in that land. Okay. So does all of the other things. The Asherah, the poles, really, the pillars. Okay. Pillars. Whenever you see the word pillar, what word comes to mind? Covenant. So it also represents covenants with those gods. Okay. All right. Carved images, idols. Okay. Destroy their name out of their place. So if you don't understand that altars, pillars, Asherah poles, images, idols, all of that ties to a god's or king's name, that verse would make no sense to you. Okay, so what does destroying an altar have to do with a name? It's their authority on earth. That's what it represents. Okay? All right, thank you. You may continue.
You shall not worship the Lord your God in that way, but you shall seek the place of the Lord your God. The Lord your God will choose out of all your tribes to put his name and his habitation there.
Quick question. Trivia. Actually, I'm going to save it for trivia if we have time. Oh, wait. Go ahead.
Okay. There you shall go, and there you shall bring your burnt offerings, your sacrifices, your tithes, and your contributions, and the contribution that you present, your vow offerings, your freewill offerings, and the firstborn of your herd and your flock. And there you shall eat before the Lord your God, and you shall rejoice, and you and your households, and all that you undertake, and all of which the Lord your God has blessed.
All right, I'll just tell you now. Okay. What tribe does God choose to put his temple? Benjamin. It's the tribe of Benjamin. Was it? I don't know. The city? Well, that I don't know. It's interesting. But currently, it would be in Benjamin. It's pretty neat. Okay, fun fact of the day. So now I think now we're starting to get an idea as to why God is so adamant that Israel gets rid of all of these idols, all of these poles, all of these altars, because that challenges God's temple. Okay, it's like I don't know. I'm bad at metaphors, so let me just not. Okay, I'm not going to do that. Every time I make a metaphor on the spot, everyone looks at me like, "What?" That's okay. I understand. Okay. All right. So, putting name equals proclaims sovereignty. Okay, that's what all of that 5 minutes means. Okay, if you put the name on something, it establishes your dominance or your authority. Okay, so which is interesting because doesn't God name everything? And then he also gives man the ability to do so as to express his function of having dominion. It's pretty interesting. Again, that's probably for next year whenever we talk about the Bereshit. Okay? I'm so excited. I'm preparing like 2 weeks ago for that. I'm so excited. I love Genesis. Love Genesis. All right, so putting the name, it establishes sovereignty. So if all of the other names are there, does it show the world that God's actually sovereign over that area? No. So again, it challenges his authority. Okay? So let's talk about prophets. I talked a little bit about this earlier. Okay? Prophets in the ancient Near East called on the gods, okay, through different various methods, like reading bones, I don't know, the floor, the way that the wood looks, okay, I don't know. All right, but God's prophets, on the other hand, are called on by God. Okay, very distinct difference, actually. Okay, so prophets in the ancient Near East called on God. Okay, God's prophets, however, called on by God. Okay. Okay. It's kind of like blessing the food, right? In a lot of other cultures, blessing the food is, well, the blessing before the food is about the food, and God instructs us to bless Him, not the food. This is very different. Okay. All right. It's just another subtle difference between Him and the nations. Like, if you don't pay attention to the way that the prophets function, you're like, okay, that's not a big deal. But that's another key difference between the nations. All right. Let's talk about false prophecy. Okay. Sorry. Let me fix this. All right. So, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Can't fix it. Oh, got it. All right. So, if the prophets are called on by God, can they say anything different than what God says? No, right? That would make them a false prophet. Okay. So, false prophecy is something that did not agree with the ideology of the king or state. For God, that would be His Torah. Okay. So, who's king over Israel? God. So, if a prophet was like, "Yo, what's up, homie G? Go worship that idol." And he's like, "God told me to tell you this." What? Homie G, I don't know. Whatever they call each other there. Okay. Would that be false prophecy? Yes. How would you know? What does it go against? Exactly. Any other gods. Right? Any other gods or a false god. Alright? So false prophecy equals against Torah. And a false prophet will tell you something that's against Torah. Okay? You know, it's so funny. It's funny now, okay? And I have to remind myself to be more sensitive, right? Because I'm a very blunt individual. I don't like to beat around the bush. But everyone's shaking their heads. They know. Okay, I wear everything on my sleeve, in my face, in my body language. But I have to be more sensitive because a lot of these folks, I was in their shoes. Okay, I didn't know. Okay, and I wish that somebody would have spoken to me differently than I speak to most people. And I apologize. Okay, I don't mean to come off that way. But there is this notion that anybody could be a prophet. Okay, do you remember the statistic that we gave you early on in the year about prophets? They were like pretty much all priests, Levites. Okay, so if right away, I mean, come on, that would tell you something. Okay, and they were all very aware of Torah. They all were mad at you for what you were doing, but they all tell you to come back to the Torah, follow the commandments, and everything's going to be good. I don't know about you, but I've never seen a quote-unquote prophet nowadays ever tell you to come back to Torah. Ever. All they do is tell you to give them money. It doesn't make sense. It's like, wait, yeah, I'm a sinner. Cool. All right. Give me $500. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. Every time. Read it. Read the prophets. Every time Isaiah says, hey, y'all, you're messing up. How do they know? Follow Torah. Every time that's what they do. Okay. So because prophets cannot speak against Torah. They can't. Okay, so if you claim you're a prophet and you speak against Torah and you don't tell people to follow Torah, I'm sorry, I just don't believe you. Okay, I don't believe it. And in addition to that, God pretty much only calls priests unless there's like none available. Okay? Anyways. So a real prophet is called by God, but it cannot speak against Torah. Okay? That would make him a false prophet. Okay? Again, I don't mean to be insensitive. That's just my observations. All right? Let's talk about the role of the king now. Okay? Oh my gosh, and I forgot to do reviews. I'm going to get yelled at by my wife. I just know it. I'm going to get spoken to by my wife. So the role of the king, let's talk about that. Okay? Let's think about it today, actually. If someone wants to rule this country, okay, and they're not righteous, would we want to like live in that society? No. If somebody was in charge and they didn't give you equity, would you want to live there? No. Never mind. So let's talk about this. So guardian of social justice, okay, what that means is justice for society. All right, and that looks different depending on where you are. Okay, but God's social justice is canceling debts, releasing the slaves, and helping the oppressed. And this comes from the sabbatical year on the in the portion. Okay, so the role of the king, they also defend the homeless, powerless, and disadvantaged. Now, if you pay attention, if you notice, a lot of these, I don't hate them because that's a strong word, but I highly, highly, highly dislike them, and I never watch them, except for once, and I got everything I needed to know. The debates, the presidential debates, y'all, they're like full of promises, and this isn't talking politics, this is just, this is unanimous. Okay, this is also applicable in ancient Near East, where the person in charge would be like, I'm going to take away your tax debt, I'm going to pay off your student loans, I'm going to break you out of jail even though you're guilty. You know, you see all this stuff, and it's like, woo, hoorah, right? And then they get the office, and nothing happens. Same thing here. Okay, same thing in the ancient Near East. It was very popular where a king would come in charge, they would do some things, and then they would stop. And there would be no accountability, though. But God literally, think about it. God literally set in stone in his covenant, and he can't change it, okay, that every sabbatical year, debts are forgiven, slaves are set free, and they get to go back to their own land, okay? They don't go empty-handed. Like, I don't know about you, man, but I would like to be under that guy, okay? All right. But yeah, so right here, kings in the ancient Near East did this where they would practice social justice, and it's not really social justice because if you had more money, you were favored over somebody who was poor, all right? But they would do that in the beginning of the reign, but only sporadically afterwards. So what that means is they would do it once and really never do it again. Okay? Sounds familiar. It happens like in every country, not just ours. Okay? It's every 7 years. Okay. No, there's a difference. It was let me get back to you on that, Raquel. I have to think about it. Okay. So the king's job is to practice righteousness and justice. So let's tie it with Yeshua. Okay, I want to clarify a couple things. Not king yet. Okay, we've had this whole spiel before. Okay, we've had this whole spiel. He's not king yet. Okay, he would only be king over earth. Okay, mind you, not the whole universe, like some folks think. Okay, only over Israel. Okay, and at that time. So I want to talk about this. If Yeshua came and did not practice righteousness and justice, what would happen? Yeah, plain and simple. Because he represents Hashem. Okay, and he represents his king. And if his king practiced righteousness and justice, what should he do? Practice righteousness and justice. Right? That's why it's so adamant that Yeshua always quotes Isaiah a lot of times, which is the most commonly quoted book in the New Testament, okay, of the Old Testament, regarding righteousness and justice. Okay? So Yeshua, king over Israel, okay, not everything. And he's not there yet. Okay? So let's talk about slavery. Okay, this is going to be tough. Okay, because again, I don't want to be insensitive, so I don't want you to feel like I am. Okay, this is taboo. No one likes to talk about this stuff. Okay, I don't like talking about it, but I'll do it. Okay, I remember growing up, I went to like public school and stuff, so a bunch of heathens, right? And everyone was like, God supports slavery. That's their conclusion, because they saw slavery in the Bible, and God's like, cool. But we just established a couple things. Okay, every sabbatical year, every 7th year, Hebrew slaves are set free, okay, with their land. Okay, they're not to leave empty-handed. And even then, even if you're not a Hebrew slave, the masters, or whatever you want to call them, okay, they were supposed to be like really good to you. You still had rights. Okay, so it's really important to acknowledge. Okay, we can't compare it to what happened here. We just can't. So I want to have the 2 charts. Okay, what we think of slavery, which is our reality. Okay, it was no rights, no freedom, no social status, horrible owners, and it was socially based. Okay, let's talk about what God says. Okay, to be set free, social status, and had rights, like Eliezer with Abraham. He was going to have literally all of Abraham's estate, and he was a servant. He was a slave. Okay, it's debt based, and we've talked about this before. The majority of cases in which people fell into slavery or servanthood under the owner was debt based. If I couldn't pay off a debt, I would work under you for an X amount of time. You would use my resources to make as much money as you could, and then you would give it back to me whenever my debt was paid off. Okay, or whenever I was redeemed or sabbatical. Okay, depending on every situation. Owners were to be good to slaves, and we see that whenever we look at the differences between the Code of Hammurabi and the Torah. Okay, and they were not to be set free empty-handed. I don't know about you, but those just don't sound the same to me. Okay, so it's really hard to justify the position of God supporting slavery in our context of here. Okay, go ahead. It is more like an employment. You're right. Go ahead.
A lot of times, too, when slaves were released, they actually ended up just coming back.
Yeah. Yeah.
They ended up, a lot of times they did enjoy it, so they ended up coming back. Mm-hmm. It's a stable environment. They know what's going to happen. They build a relationship with, their owner, whoever they're serving, and so on.
There's a whole process for that, too. Okay, and if a lot of slaves, by the way, the Hebrew slaves, that's usually using a term to denote someone who is an Israelite but don't have land. Okay, so if you were to be set free and you don't have land, what you gonna do? Okay, but with this whole system that God has made, with the masters or the owners or the employers, whatever you want to call them, to be righteous and to be good to the servants, why not stay? Yeah, you have a family, you have rights. Okay, it's not a bad gig, actually. All right, moving on. So slavery in the Bible is more like servanthood, and it's to pay off a debt, usually. Okay? Alrighty. So let's do the conclusion. What time are we at? Please tell me I hit 7. Okay, I will have hit 7 by then. If I hit 7, I'm happy. Okay? So we serve a righteous king that establishes true righteousness and justice. Okay, the Code of Hammurabi, Hammurabi was said to be the true executor of righteousness and justice. I don't know about you, though, but somebody who has more money than me, more status, gets off scot-free and I don't. That's not right. That's not true righteousness and justice. God shows no partiality. Okay, none. We should want to serve him and follow his Torah. We shouldn't do it for the blessings. Okay, we shouldn't do it for the curses. Well, you wouldn't. Okay? But you can't get either unless you agree to follow the Torah and agree to his covenant and to serve him, to love him, to keep him, all that stuff, okay? God wants us to live in the realm of life and not plagued by the realm of death, which we see based on how he wants to be worshipped. He literally instructs us not to worship him in the way that everybody else does, all right? We are not to be oppressors, just like how God is not an oppressor, and that ties in with the sabbatical and slavery and all that stuff, okay? Also, we have the commandments, which I wanted to do more research on, regarding giving and charity and stuff. All right? God's appointed times are God's appointed times. Okay? Now, are there any questions for me? I know that I just kind of went through it. I didn't have any reviews. I'm sorry. I really apologize. I knew I was missing something, and now I know what it was. Okay, it won't happen again. I'll put a sticky note on my computer. Okay.
Post it there later.
I'll post it. Yes, I got you. All right, any questions for me?